Welcome to another installment of Rose Teaches You JavaScript or programming or something like that. So this is week 8, and we're talking about object-oriented coding now. And I went through a lot of this in class. I'm going to go over everything that I just went over in class. I am going to try to show you guys the most basic code because I get, you guys notice in class I get really irritated when there's an example code, but there's like extra stuff in it, and I'm like, well, you should know what the most basic thing is in order to do something. So I have basic OOP right here. If you go to my if you go to my website on SiteGround and you type in basic OOP, you can grab this code. This is, to me, this is the most basic object-oriented programming that you could do with this JavaScript library here. And there are a million different ways to do object-oriented coding too, but this is one of them. So I have one object of this class, and I've called it my car. I could have my car 1, my car 2, and my car 3. I could call this whatever I want. I usually, in class, I call this a nickname, but it's a variable. And at the end of class, to make like 500 cars, I had an array instead of my car 1 through my car 500, because obviously that'd be ridiculous. So here's our setup routine. Remember, it's self-contained. It's got a beginning and ending curly bracket. Here's a create canvas. This was kind of new for this class. We're using window width with a capital W and window height with capital H, and that'll expand to whatever size the person has their browser at. So yay for us. And this is how you spawn an object. You use the word new, and that spawns an object. This, we're putting it into our variable, so I called it my car, so that refers to that. This capital CAR refers to the name of the function, the name of the class, and it's a convention to capitalize classes. You'll see that in other programming languages too. So a lot of times people will be like car, they'll have their name of their object car, and then they'll be like car equals new car, and you'll be like, what, which car is which? So that's why I wanted to call this my car, to kind of differentiate, to let you know that this is whatever I call it. This here is the name. It says run this code, run this function, and spawn a car. Okay, so we should look at the car class too, but I'll talk about the draw, what's happening in the draw. So in the draw, we have a background command because we don't want cars just drawing on top of each other. We want to blank out the background in between each move of a car. And then this refers again to our variable, our one car that we spawned, our nickname, and this dot move. This is something that the car class has inside of it. So the car class, look, it's got an X position, and it's got these methods. And one of the methods is called move. It's a function. And then another method is called display. So we're running these, since this is of type car, my car is of type car, it's got all these things in here. So the other kind of cool thing we can do is we can do console log. This will be a mess, but you can do my car dot X position. You can actually print out, you have access to stuff inside this car class, which is kind of, so some of you guys talked about private and public variables. Like, you don't always want people to be able to access your stuff in your object from the outside, from their code. So that's why some people use private and public, and then there's other ways of doing this. But I'm just showing you this right now because we're making art and I'm trying to keep this simple. So you can access anything inside of an object, this type of object, by doing dot X position. It's not private. Okay, by using a dot. So this refers to this move function, and this refers to this display function. So let's look at our car class now. And you'll notice the draw loop ends here. And here we have this class definition. And so many people have this problem where this got left off because they have a for loop, and then they're like, oh, I'll put it here. Can't do that. Okay, the draw has got to be ended here, and you can't have any code hanging out outside the draw loop, outside of any function. You don't want code hanging out there. And then we've defined a car class, and it's got its beginning and ending curly bracket here. it's got this constructor and attributes here, and then it's got these methods. So these are free standing inside here. When I put more attributes in here, more properties, they'll just be freestanding inside here without a beginning and ending curly bracket. They're inside the car class. Then these are like sort of like embedded functions. They're methods in here. So these have got their own beginning and ending curly brackets. So pay attention to that stuff, because usually like 95% of you guys have got that error. Like you're like, oh, I don't know how to code. Oh, I'm failing the class. I better not come to class. It's not that. You just don't have your curly brackets in the right place. And you should know now. You should be able to figure out, okay, take a deep breath. The car class has got a beginning and ending curly bracket. And then these guys have beginning and ending. These methods have beginning and ending curly brackets. Okay, enough of that soapbox. So this, when I run this code, this is called basic OOP. Oh, let's go to more OOP, which is kind of the same thing, right? Because I'm going to start changing this now. So right now I've just got a white box going across the screen. And so in class, I added a whole bunch of other stuff. I added more attributes, and I added some more code. So let's do that now. So maybe I thought every car should also have its own Y position. And in fact, every car should not be spawned at 100. Let's spawn every car in a random place. So random 100, or no, what random width of the screen, right? And then I can add a Y position for every car equals random height. Put it random height because it's the Y, right? Some other things I added was I added colors. So an easy way to represent color in this program is to use R, G, and B and use the fill command with 3. Oh, you got to do this. Which direction am I looking at? So 3 different numbers, right? 3 different numbers that go between 0 and 255. So I made an R, random, it goes to 255. And then you guys can make a G and a B. Well, I'll do it here too. So R, G, B. Let's change them, G and B. So now I've got, I'm beautifying it there. So now I've got a whole bunch of different attributes. You know what else I added was a width command, like a width of the car. But I called it wide just because, look, I'm using that word width already, and I'm scared it's going to mess something up if I use the word width again. So the width of the car, maybe we'll make it random between 50 and 100. How about that, right? Yay. So since I've got all these different attributes in here, I need to actually use them. So the X position I was already using, right? The rectangle is this, it starts at X, it's X position, right? But I should use the Y position here instead of hard coding it to 100. So this dot Y position, okay? In fact, here's the width. Now I'm having, each car has its own width, so this dot wide, okay? And then I've got its own RGB values here, so I should use a fill command with those. This dot R, this dot G, and this dot B, right? That'll put a fill in here. Okay, now the other thing that I added, let's check our code. Yay. Oh, look, oh, it spawned over here and at that Y location. That's cool, but it's went off the screen. Let's spawn it again. Yeah, it spawned over there, but it's going to go off the screen, right? Its X position is adding and adding and adding. Let's look at that code. The code that's moving it is the X position equals the X position plus 1. So remember this when we were animating a rectangle across the screen, right? This is the velocity, right? Hey, let's give every car its own velocity. This dot vel, right? And then I've got to add the attribute here. This dot vel equals random. We'll do 6, 10. So that'll be a pretty fast moving car. So now every car will have its own velocity, and I've used the velocity. So, you know, when you add an attribute, you also have to use the attribute, I always say. So let's run it now. Let's see. Ooh, that one's going really fast. Ooh, let's have another one. And they're going fast, and their X position is going off the screen. So how do we fix that? We fix it by this move method. See, we're just adding and adding. But if the X position goes past the width, we want to set it equal to 0 again, right? Once it goes past, we want it to set it equal to 0. Remember, we've done that before? We used an if statement. If statements look like this. So if this.xpos is greater than width, because it's the width of the screen, right? This.xpos equals 0. Every car will do this now. Yay. Okay, let's check. See? So, okay, so it's spawning wherever it wants, and then it's going across the screen and it's looping. Now, so that's pretty cool. Now, what if I wanted to make more than one car? I don't have to go in the car class here at all. I've already got, this is like self-contained code, and it makes a car, okay? In fact, if I wanted to put wheels, I put some ellipses here, right? Remember, we did that? I'm not going to do that now. We did that in class. So if I want to make more cars, I go up here to my other area here. So if I want to make 2 more cars, I did this before. I had my car 1 and my car 2. And then I need to spawn them. So my car 1 and my car 2. My car 2. This, remember, this is all the same. It's that car class. That's what that refers to. So I'm not going to change that at all. And then I've got to move them all. So here I would move and display them all. So I'd copy that code and I'd do my car 1 and my car 2. And now at least I'll have 3 cars, right? I'll run that. 3 cars, all different widths. So in class, last thing I did was I said, well, how about if I want to make 500 cars? What do I do then? I'm not going to copy this line 500 times. So instead of using var my car 1, my car 2, I'm going to use an array. So I'm going to, if I hit Command or Control on a Windows machine and /, I can comment stuff out, and I'm going to make an array. So var, and I'll call it my cars this time. My cars equals array. Arrays have square brackets. Okay. So here, remember, to spawn a new object was to use the keyword new car. This might be on a quiz. To spawn a new object was this, and then I had to look to see what the class was named. Okay, remember that. It shouldn't be my car equals new my car, right? All right, so to spawn the object, I'm gonna comment that out though, and to add stuff to an array, I still want new car because that adds. That's gonna be how I spawn stuff. But to add stuff to an array in JavaScript, you can push onto the array. So I can go my cars dot push new car, and that pushes stuff onto an array. Pretty cool, huh? So now here, I'm adding, oh, that'll push 1 car. So if I repeat this like 3 times, I'll push 3 cars onto this array. There's another car, there's another car. Well, I'll just have to do this 100 times. I'm not going to do that though. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a for loop. And I showed this in class. We haven't gone over for loops yet. But what a for loop does is you can do for I equals 0 to 100, it'll do the for loop 100 times. It starts wherever you want it to start. So I'll show you how to write that in code. For, you have to write the word var I, because you're declaring this little variable I, and I usually stands for index. You're declaring it just inside here. Like sometimes I declare, var timer, right? Timer equals 0 up here, right? I do that up here. There's a thing called variable scope where you can declare it just inside here. It'll only live inside this for loop. So var I equals 0, that means it starts at 0. It goes until 200. We'll make 200 cars. And then every time we're going to have it step up 1. So the first time it's going to start at 0, and then I is going to be 1, and then I is going to be 2 because I'm adding 1 to it. You can also write this as I equals I plus 1. Pretty cool. You can also write I plus equals 1 there. Okay. If I wanted to step this by 2, I plus equals 2. But anyway, usually everybody uses this I plus plus. Okay. You don't necessarily need curly brackets here if you only have one thing that you want to happen here, but I always use curly brackets because when I don't, I always end up having to add them anyway. I always end up having to put something in here. So notice, oh my God, notice now, there's this, what a mess I got here. There's now I've almost have my error that I talk about everybody having. Here's my for loop, here's my beginning curly bracket, here's what happens in the for loop, here's my ending curly bracket of the for loop. Look at my function draw, it's just hanging out there and there's no end to the setup. So I've got it, I have to end my setup there. Whew, that was scary. Okay, so this will make whatever happens inside here happen 200 times because it starts at 0 and it goes while it's less than 200. I'm actually not using I in here at all, but I could be like console.log. I made the I'm going to try to write the ith car. Okay, because you have access to this I inside here. So every time this loop runs, it'll be 0 the first time, it'll be 1 the second time, etc. So that could be kind of fun. Let's run this code and see if it works. Run. So I won't see anything here because I'm not displaying these cars. In fact, I may get an error because I probably have those other lines still there. Yeah, my car is not defined here. Let's fix that. So let's get these out of here because I don't have my car anymore. I took it out. All right, and let's run this. So look, it's running through that loop. It's in the setup, so it ran through the loop 199 times, or well, it ran through the loop 200 times because it started at 0. Yay. Okay, let's go back here. So this for loop, you have access to this I in here. Some people like to use that. Like every car, you might want to label every car with something. I'm going to take this out now. A little extra info for you for loops. All right, so remember what we had here? We had to display the car and we had to drive it. We had to, what do I have? Display and move. We had to display and move it. So since I have 200 of these now, I'm going to need that same for loop. So I copied it. Don't try to rewrite your for loop. And here, I'm going to do, just like I had my car dot display and my car dot move, I'll have my cars, the ith car move, and my cars, each car display. Remember how I showed you guys? I should have left the console log in here. We have access to this, so this is the first thing in the array is going to be the 0th one, the second one's going to be the first one, etc., etc. So this should work, and I should see a ton of cars right now, 200 of them, and they're all going different speeds. Ooh. All right. So the next video I'm going to show you guys how, like, why are our cars only going across? Because we're just adding one number, which is between 6 and 10, to the x position. We're not adding anything to the y position. If there was a y vector, then we can have cars going in all different directions. In fact, if we had negative possibilities, like if right now the velocity is only going between 6 and 10, but if it was like between -10 and +10, some of them would be going the opposite direction. So we'll start with that code next time. Thank you for watching.